Let's get busy.
Next up, Amy James, Yang Yang.
Totally. More like Yang Yang.
You know, when I do my
Yang?
Or do you want to be Yang? What do you want to be?
You tell me.
Yang.
Let's get it. Let's
Definitely Yang.
figure this out.
We're definitely
You're
Yang
Yeah,
Yang
Yang.
Yang.
together
Okay.
forever.
How long y'all known each other?
Actually, not that long. We just clicked immediately. Like, making adult friends is one of those things where you just kind of get each other on a level that
Y'all met
was
through
immediate.
work or whatever.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we've been bartending now together for just a little while.
A few months.
And we just click super, super well.
Easy.
Especially with work. Like,
If I
we're
need
able to
something, I know I can be like, James, I need this. Like, he knows, and he's like, here it is. And if he needs something, he's like, I need this. I'm like, here it is.
And we
like,
communicate nonverbal a lot.
for sure. Like, I can
Like
make
a
the
lot.
face at him, and he's like, all right, I got this. And
Well, let's put this to test. Make a face at him and tell me what that means.
Girl, I don't know what to say.
exactly, because it is girl, fuck this. I love that like, cut the eyes at me one more time.
Yeah, right.
Like, I'll tell him that, like, every night, like,
It's 7 or 8 times a night because I roll my eyes a lot.
well,
It's
because
just-
but I already know what you're saying when you're doing it. Like when when we're dealing with patrons that are like,
I'm a cynic by nature, so it's not that everything pisses me off. I'm just like, oh.
and it's just so funny
like-
because I'm the optimist. I'm like glass half full,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. So like when he makes that face, I'm already like, cut your eyes at me one more time because
Yeah.
I know what he's saying and thinking
It happens all the time.
all the time,
Constantly.
So there is a connection here.
for sure.
For sure. And here we are. Thanks, guys, for coming and hanging out with me.
Absolutely.
Thank
You
you.
know, I'm a big fan of the music scene for a long time. Fortunately for me, I've got a lot of friends who are musicians. We've kind of gone over that.
For sure. I do too.
So I'm always out supporting my buddies and male, females, all that music talent. And I love getting out. But, one of the things that always seems to interest me is, the people behind the bar. It looks to be sometimes a fun gig,
It is most of the time.
sometimes maybe
Absolutely.
thankless.
Definitely.
I mean, it can be, honestly, like, just doing it in itself most of the time. Like, I would not trade bartending for an office job
Oh, yeah.
any given moment.
Yeah.
Like,
I would agree with that.
I mean, even because she also is a nurse.
No, I work in the office, but I work in a hospital.
Well,
so.
I mean, yeah, like she's within the healthcare field, so
Okay.
she
I didn't
still
know
has to have like time
Right.
where she's sitting, and I would go crazy.
But that's what I feel like the hospitality industry gives back to you. It gives back your time and it gives back your living. Whereas like the 9 to 5, like you're stuck,
Yeah,
so to speak.
I mean, you really are. You're just. I couldn't see having like stagnation, at least within behind a bar, especially with that like bar between you and the people. Like you have the ability to interact with them on a different level.
For sure. And I
So,
think like pre-prohibition, like bartenders were so important. Like,
they're still important.
and they are now, but like it's almost like we were the community pre-prohibition. They had to come to us because you couldn't get this thing that they were searching for. And then
you mean
post-prohibition,
mental health care, which is
no,
still, like,
but then like
bartenders are still therapists.
Post-prohibition, people thought it was a thing that you just do to get through college, or this is like what I'm doing to pay my bills off
People
right now.
still think that,
and they
honestly.
do still think that, but you can make a career out of it now. Whereas pre-prohibition, it was you depended on the bartender. You couldn't just go to the liquor
True.
store and buy whatever.
Absolutely.
Like you depended on that bartender to make your cocktail, make it well, get the liquor from wherever they were going to get it from. It's turned into like the necessity of a bartender to like, I don't necessarily need it because it's available everywhere now, but it's
but I mean,
definitely
it's still
turned into a
but it's
criteria.
still necessary. I mean, any bar you go to, anywhere on the planet, at any given moment, there's that one customer, guest, whatever you want to call it, that's sitting there at the bar, and they know the bartender well. They've been friends for X amount of time. Yeah, a regular.
Your regulars make your
the bartender knows more about them than probably their kids do or their husband does. And, you know, they drink 2 bottles of wine and they sit there and they expect, like, you know, that the bartender is actually a key, like, social component.
Absolutely. If you have a shit bartender, your business is going to suck.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You have to have, because, and they taught me this, I went to Louisville bartending school, but they taught me this there, like, I can teach you how to make any drink, it's just a recipe. You could be a baker, you can make whatever, but I can't teach you how to have a personality, and that's 100% true.
Well, and you do the personable part, personality part,
absolutely.
Is key.
Well, and a lot of people don't even necessarily think this, and there's a lot of people in the service industry that don't think this, but one thing that I've always been taught and always thought is, as a bartender or even a server, you're actually kind of more like a
you're the liaison.
Yeah, because you're not selling a product. You're selling yourself. You're just carrying a product.
Right.
For sure.
The restaurant's already supplying it. So whether or not, and you know, that brings into a lot of other questions, like why people get frustrated with
even
places that they
the
work.
food is crap, they'll say, I know it's not your fault.
It's hard to sell it. Yeah, well, and not everybody even does that, but you're selling yourself. You're selling the ability to push out drinks, food, you know, whatever, with a timely manner, but. You know, 9 times out of 10, if you can personably explain to someone a situation they're not necessarily going to be happy about, that makes you a good server, a good bartender, a good, you know, restaurant employee, hospitality in general. Like, you're hosting an environment, like, as opposed to hosting, because the food you have no control over.
Yeah. But I think educational opportunities are key there, and we talked about this earlier. Like, if your bar is like, I want to educate you on the wine because we're a wine bar, if I want to educate you on the bourbon because we're a bourbon bar, if you can pass that on to your patrons, like, the more successful you're going to be. Because if you're a wine bar and you're like serving people that want Kendall Jackson, but they have no idea what they could actually be drinking that's comparable to that isn't a good.
Well, and that's always the key in making a successful restaurant. I mean, that's probably why most restaurants fail within the first year, because being able to find that trend between things that people want versus things that you're trying to expose them to is, I mean, that's the hardest part. And then you have these other people, servers, bartenders, that you're trying to educate and curtail their personalities.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, I mean, the restaurant industry alone is super hard because you have all these A-type personalities combating each other constantly.
But I think if you can sharpen the tools in your toolbox, like, that just makes you that better at your hospitality.
Well, in
this industry, you have to.
Well, and even with that, you have to kind of look at your staff or look at the people you work with as tools in your toolbox as well.
For sure.
I mean, it's constantly like, oh, well, there's this thing that you need to know about, and if you push it this way, I've had so much success with it that, you know.
Well, let's hold this thought, or that thought. The Kentucky Anna Professional Bartending. Am I saying that right?
Oh, Kentucky Anna Professional Bartending, my business.
Yeah, that. I thought I said it right.
You did.
Give us, what's that all about?
So basically what I do is I do mobile bartending. So I do special events, weddings, whatever the need is. I send a quote for that. But like last summer I did this tiki party like in Lexington. This woman she hired me to do a tiki party for her 25th birthday for her boyfriend, and it was the coolest thing ever. Like, just sat in the pool house and made like pina coladas. I was like, can I just live in this pool house? I'm surrounded by like horse farms. Like, this is perfect. So it just kind of depends. Like, I do a lot of weddings and special events with that, and I'm always looking for bartenders to help me out with that. But it's been a fun and enjoyable thing for me.
How long have you been doing that?
About 3 years now.
Okay. Why are you in this industry?
I love it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, James could probably tell you too. Like, but I just love like making that connection with people. And my Monday through Friday job is so stressful. And this is just, it was like I was telling the bartender here, Heather, like, I feel like I'm not even going to work when I bartend. Like, I'm hanging out with my friends. if that makes sense. Like, I'm hanging out with James and we're slinging drinks together and we got this. And then I'm meeting the new people that are coming in and I'm like, oh, cool. Here's your story. Here's your story. Like, that connection with people that you don't necessarily get every day, but then also the opportunity to be a therapist.
There is something to be said for, you can be across from the bar from somebody and they will tell you things that they wouldn't even tell a therapist.
Right.
There's alcohol involved. So their wall is a little bit more down, but also to them, you're Joe Schmo bartender, and you're not going to go tell anybody, and nobody knows whatever, and also the alcohol again, and after a few more drinks, like, you're able to just spew. And bartenders have seen so many different people walk in and tell them so many different horrible things, and so many bartenders have been in the industry for quite a while. I mean, it takes a little bit to be a bartender. Like, you have to build yourself up in the restaurant industry, and you've seen it all by that point. So you have an empathy for people that is lacking.
And I think what we talked about is, like,
fields.
You have to be some type of a caretaker, even if you're like, I don't care about this person. Like, you do. You care about their well-being. You want them to get home safe.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's actually like a big thing for me. You asked her why she likes to do it, and for me,
I'll ask you too.
Well,
you do want to help people, and you are helping people in some sort of way.
I have been in the restaurant industry for 18 years.
You definitely have to be a people person.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not
like
necessarily.
I said,
Not necessarily.
You can teach people the drinks all day long, but if you don't have a personality, you're not going to succeed in this business.
So it's a weird duality.
Okay.
Not that I don't like people. It's just
well, no, I'm saying
you kind of learn to exist on Murphy's Law.
Okay.
If someone is going to act like an idiot, it's going to be in a restaurant or a bar.
Darwinism, survival of the fittest.
Yeah. So especially with the inclusiveness of having alcohol apparent.
Right.
So it's one of those things where, like, I love meeting new people. I get the chance to hear a lot of weird different stories and crazy different things, and, like, people watching. It's all this, but at the same time, it's like, people kind of suck in general. Like, they just do. And I mean, I do as well. Like, I'll catch myself doing something that I get pissed off when someone does to me in a different environment.
That's why it was so rare for us to just click and be like that in an adult relationship, because I'm like, you're not a shit person. Like, I think we both saw that from the beginning, and we're like, okay, cool. Yeah. Like, we can do this. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I mean, within the restaurant industry, like, it's just so, it's so unique, because it's the one atmosphere where not only are you meeting people, but you're spending time with them for no God-given reason. You go to an office building, you go to the TMV or whatever else, and they're there for one particular reason.
Sure.
Within dining, within restaurants, within bars, they're there to have a good time, to let their personality out, to relax.
Yeah.
So, like, all of these things come out, everybody acts a certain way after one too many, and everybody acts a certain way when their kids are screaming, or everybody acts a certain way, and you get to see those little, like, weird things. Yeah. But at the same time, they're annoying. Like, you want to be like,
I need to escape from this for a minute, and I feel like we're in the escape.
You get people that walk up to the bar that ask things like, what beers do you have? And you list off everything, and then they order
like,
a Coors
Light.
Yeah. It's like, it's just, and I understand those things, because I myself will do them in instances. Like, it's a high pressure situation, so you just pick what you're used to.
Use this podcast to purge out all of those.
Oh, no.
I want you to. I want the sound bites.
Okay, but it's like the people that come up and they're like, what do I want to drink? I want an LIT. And you're like, motherfucker, did you just turn 21?
Well, see, anytime anyone orders an LIT, immediately I think one of two things. Trashy. And then the other.
And I hate to be that
the alcoholic in the back of my head.
You are starting a little thing that I made a mental note, because I really don't.
This is our show. This is the Amy and James show. You didn't even know.
And I'm trying to facilitate it to a degree. But yeah, throughout the show, we'll bring up certain drinks, and I want you to give me.
Oh God, no! You don't want the feedback.
That's fine.
I mean,
That's fine.
It's gonna be so honest. I don't know.
Right before when I first walked in the door, there was a gentleman that was sitting at the bar, Nice. He was a little intoxicated, but very nice. He's not here.
Okay.
No, he left.
Right.
But very
We're not
nice.
having him
He
on the
asked-
show, Kevin, okay?
He
If that's where you're
legitimately
going.
asked
Well, I
me.
know if he was in ear reach.
We're not
No,
doing
he
that.
was legitimately asked me what drink is a pain in the ass to make, and my immediate response: a pain in the ass. If you've never had a pain in the ass, it's the worst drink in the world to make.
What's in
So
that?
that's really a
So
drink.
It's really
Yeah,
a
it's
drink.
really is a drink.
It's the reason it's named that is because a bartender named it.
'Cause
that.
it's literally a pain
It's
in
a
the ass.
layered drink. It's a pina colada on top and a strawberry daiquiri on the bottom.
No one has time to
No,
mix drinks
they
in a
do
blender.
in Baltimore
I mean,
because I made
that's
1,000 of
So
them.
is that a
and I-
blender drink?
Yeah, it's a blended,
Yes.
but you have to blend it twice.
2
You
blenders.
blend a pina colada
And then you blend daiquiri.
a strawberry daiquiri, and then put them on top of each other. And if they don't mix properly, you have to do it again. So when you have like,
Well, why?
Because the presentation.
because they
has
ask for it.
Because the visual too is
It's
what
all
they're
about
When
the
somebody asks for an LIT, I immediately think that person's going to be a problem.
to later.
That's a $12 drink or a $10 drink at most. It's
it's
75%
Half
alcohol.
ounce of this,
yeah.
half ounce that, half
After
ounce this,
one,
half ounce
I'm
this.
gonna have to watch you. You're already on my priority list.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong. I'll drink an LIT if I'm trying to get drunk as well.
Sure,
Right.
but it's all like the people that come to the bar and they're like, I'm just 20 for the first time. What do I want to drink? Amaretto sour? No, girl, you don't
No,
want
but
that.
see, that doesn't bother me because they're
that doesn't
tiptoeing
bother me
into
either,
their
but it's like-
alcoholism.
like, just-
I would rather them tiptoe into being an alcoholic.
But you know what? Like, see the
Then
other drinks that
going-
are out there than just going straight for the LIT.
But yeah, but
There are other drinks that will make you.
yeah, but I mean, did it make you? Were you happier to make an LIT than like a Incredible Hulk when Hypnotic was a thing?
Hypnotic.
Yeah,
I can't
exactly.
even.
Wait, wait,
Exactly.
What is
even.
that? Come on, you know.
So it was a liqueur.
It's still a thing to some people.
It still exists, but predominantly within the black community. That's not a racial thing. That's just me legitimately saying.
I know, I'm just
Predominantly
saying.
only black people know what Hypnotic is. The black bar that I worked at there was a lot of Hypnotic served there. So it's
not racial or
it's
not a
racial.
stereotype if it's true.
Well, it's not even a stereotype. There's no. I'm not saying anything negative
No,
or
you're
like
fine.
that's not racial. Like
No.
it's happening. I happen to work at a black club. There was a lot of Hypnotic served there. Hypnotic is a terrible liqueur. It's like a malt
Horrible.
beverage essentially.
Okay.
It's like
And-
Mad Dog 2020 of like 2017.
No, Colt
Well, we were all
45.
12 years old at some point.
Is it Colt 45 a malt?
It's a malt, yeah.
Kind of like
Yeah.
it.
Mickey's.
Do they still do it? Colt 45. doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it's like
Yeah, no, it's still a thing.
you can
Really?
still get one
Yeah.
of these.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
A deuce of it.
A deuce. See, there you go. Yeah, there's E-Town for you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So, I mean, the bar industry is just, it's interesting.
And it's ever evolving. But I think we should talk about some history, like
Please.
the history of the old fashioned.
Go for
Like
it.
that's a Louisville drink. You know,
Which a lot of people don't know.
a lot of people don't know that, but on June 4th of 2015, it was named the drink of Louisville,
What drink was that?
the
old
old
fashioned.
fashioned. And how that all kind of got started was at the Pendennis Club, which is a huge
Which, you know,
a
a lot
club.
of people in Louisville still don't know what the Pendennis Club is.
which is crazy to
I
me.
don't.
Really,
It's kind of,
it's so historical.
it's kind of like the,
I mean, it's like 138 years old.
it's like
Where is this?
Downtown.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Right off
it's
Chestnut.
kind of like the
Muhammad Ali, sorry.
Louisville bourbon Scientology. Like, I don't know how to, like, they're a weird little kind of,
I mean, like even
niche.
Muhammad Ali did a match in there.
Yeah, they're like a weird niche, like super.
Like
celebrity
Henry. Okay,
kind
do
of-
you know the Henry Bain sauce?
Yeah.
Henry Bain sauce came from there because Henry Bain worked at the Pendennis Club.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I'll have to-
so the old fashioned. It dates back to 1881 when the patrons asked for a cocktail because at that time during Prohibition the government didn't regulate alcohol, so the patrons would come in and say, "I want a cocktail the old-fashioned way," and how that
I'm
came
still
up.
hanging on to the fact that you said cock and then.
Yeah, I was like-
sorry.
I caught that too.
Really?
That's alcohol
This
talking.
is
I'm
on
sorry.
Sorry.
our podcast.
It's totally fine.
Anyways, it was
Continue
a
with your
cocktail.
history
So,
lesson.
Anyways.
so what the old fashioned was is basically just sugar and bitters, and that's how they made this liquor taste good. I mean, you needed it the old fashioned way to get it down. And
'Cause
then
at that point, wasn't it also like essentially moonshine? It was totally.
really wasn't regulated by the government,
Yeah.
so no batch was ever the same,
Yeah.
so to speak. But sugar and bitters, and like here we are making old fashions as bartenders, like sugar, bitters, orange cherry, muddling it up and serving it. Here we are, like 138 years later is still serving the same drink.
Which, I mean, the old fashioned has become extremely popular.
A huge popular drink.
Well, now that bourbon is...
What's in it?
So, an old fashioned traditionally is supposed to be a sugar cube, an orange, a cherry, muddled with some bitters, and then you put bourbon over it with some ice, and then that's
Sounds
it.
tasty.
Okay, but
No, it's really good.
But here's my thing, like, don't shake it. Like, I've been to some bars where you order it and they're like shaking it in a shaker. Like, don't do that. You're
Well,
like,
there's certain
don't.
drinks that
it's
people-
a stirred drink. Do not ever shake it.
Well,
And don't put club soda on top of it or in it. Don't put that
certain
in there.
people
at all.
don't
Like, you
understand certain
contaminated
bar.
it. You contaminated the drink.
You can blame that on the bar that they work at and the training that they've had, because certain things should never, like, there's liquor that can broken,
And-
especially nicer bourbon. If you
Sure.
shake it, it breaks.
And
it does not.
And there's
taste
like
the
100
same.
ways to make the old fashioned now. But if we're talking about the original traditional way, like, you didn't put soda water there. You put a little bit of water in there to help dissolve the sugar and the bitters, but that was it. Like, it was a very basic classic drink. And I feel like sometimes now, as bartenders are in our industry, we get so caught up on, like, how can I make this better? How can I
Reinventing
make
everything.
Yes, just leave it simple.
Well, and that's another thing. Like, so Louisville being what it is for the hospitality industry, you know, we have one of the highest restaurants per capita on the East Coast.
Right.
You know, there were so many.
Food and drink here
Is a big deal.
We don't take a backseat to too many
There are a
places.
ton of startup companies
Sure.
that test their concepts here.
Right, yeah.
Which, I mean, it's a big deal. There's so many foodies. People take it so seriously. Bourbon has a big influence on that.
Absolutely.
But the problem with that is everyone who 5, maybe 7 years into the industry starts to try to reinvent the wheel.
Sure.
And
sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't. But
Well,
I feel like the Weller bourbon, you don't want to make old fashioned with. Like, pick your bourbon, but also, like, don't shake it. Don't put soda water on it. You know, do serve it with an expressed orange will. Do serve it in an old fashioned glass, aka a rocks glass, which most people will be like, what's an old fashioned glass?
Well, and
But
there are
that's it.
basics that should always be across the board with certain drinks that everyone should be aware of. Like, you know, you should always stir an old fashioned, because it does. You can break
You
down
have
a
to
bourbon.
stir it, but it's
Like,
not a shaken drink.
Absolutely. Especially with breaking down the ice on something.
For sure. You're diluting it. You
But-
have to stir it,
But
Kevin.
you know,
You have to.
I'm still open to
I mean, he's only said it 35,000 times.
I'm still open
Stir
to
it.
the concept of you know, reimagining things.
And I think you have to be, as a bartender, you have to be open to that
Well,
concept
yeah.
because things are always changing.
Well, and people are
evolving.
fickle, so I mean, if you don't have something interesting to offer,
But I mean, let's talk about the trends of bartending. Like, that's ever evolving too. I mean, you have, like, right now it's brunch cocktails in rosé all day. I mean, hashtag rosé all day. But rosé is continuing
I
to
swear
grow.
to God, white people love fucking brunch so much.
But you know what? Like, the brunch cocktails are
Which is
See,
funny.
We've
Which is
talked
funny
black
'cause
people, white people. All right,
But
that's two races.
The brunch cocktails still remain relevant, James. If you want to be honest, like the Bloody Mary, and how many?
Well, I mean, the Bloody Mary remains constant for anyone
The
who's
mimosa?
trying to recover. It's the hair
for
of the
sure,
dog.
but
That-
you know what? The Bloody Mary is the hair of the dog. But you know what? I don't see here that's happening in the Midwest is like people are serving it with a kickback. They're serving it with a shot of beer, and that's a Milwaukee thing. It's a Chicago thing. Like if you go to any
Minneapolis.
Chicago,
Yeah.
it's a Minneapolis
Yeah.
thing. If you go to any Chicago bar where they're having a Bloody Mary bar, you're going to get a kickback of Miller High Life.
Yeah.
Here it's just like, oh, here's a Bloody Mary bar with some celery and whatever. But
Well, and
if
see,
I
my-
go,
one
but if
of-
I go to Chicago, I can get a Bloody Mary with bacon shoved in it, oysters,
Well, and see,
a grilled
that's-
cheese, a cheeseburger. Like it's a whole freaking meal.
Whoa. Shoved in it?
Now,
No, like
see,
on top in a skewer on top of your Bloody
Now,
Mary. It's like a
and
whole.
that
It's,
was-
it's a drink
it's a
and a
breakfast.
sandwich.
It's a breakfast.
It totally is.
Wow.
Now, in Baltimore, that was actually something I discovered, how serious they take their Bloody Marys, to where one of the bars that I worked at, we had a Bloody Mary bar to where it was serve yourself. And you
Yes.
would walk up, they had fresh oysters.
Yeah.
They had fried oysters.
And
they
you
had
could-
bacon, they had jalapenos, fried jalapenos, they had
Sure, but here's
garlic,
the trick. Like you could
full
only put
mesh-
it on one glass. So you're like sitting there with the oysters and,
And
the
you gotta
grilled
figure out,
cheese
you
and
gotta
the
factor
cheeseburger,
in
and you're like,
how much vodka
what?
do I want in here versus how much other crap do I
Accessories.
want in here?
The Bloody Mary is the only cocktail that should have accessories. If you have an accessory in your drink, I'm like, bye. We're not
I
continuing this
disagree.
date. No.
I disagree.
What other
Okay,
drink besides a pina colada? What
well,
other drink needs accessories
I
besides
mean,
a Bloody
certain
Mary?
things make
Keep talking. I got to do something. Keep talking.
certain things actually make drinks like a shot of tequila. Perfect example. We've discussed this before. A shot of pickle juice.
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
Yeah.
Or
But I think those things.
a lot of people do the salt, then the shot.
But I
then
think
the
that's
lime.
what you're seeing
One of my
trending in the
favorites.
Bloody Marys is you're seeing the brined vegetable garnishes and hot sauce. You're seeing cheeseburger sliders. You're seeing.
Well, with the Bloody Mary, that the hair of the dog was actually, from what I understand it to be, the hair of the dog actually was coined from the Bloody Mary.
Absolutely.
And it was coined because for old alcoholics to get their day started, they would drink a big thing of tomato juice and throw in some vodka.
No. Well, it's really a tomato juice and a beer back. Like you're putting.
Well, that's a michelada, though, right?
Yes and no, but like the original Milwaukee Bloody Mary is like you take a sip, you pour the beer, and you take a sip, you pour the beer, and it was beer before it was vodka. Before it was vodka and a Bloody Mary, it was actually beer.
Didn't know that.
And
I didn't either.
yeah, so
I feel like I should have, though.
So like it comes with a sidecar of beer, and like in all other cities like Midwest of here, I see it with a sidecar of beer. Like I go to Chicago, and every time I get a Bloody Mary, it comes with a sidecar of beer. Here, it's like a Bloody Mary bar. It's only vodka and tomato juice and whatever. But like actually, it should come with a sidecar of beer, and what you should do is like a sip of the tomato juice, pour the beer, and sip of the Bloody Mary, pour
But
the
then,
tomato juice,
along
sip,
those
and you're
lines,
left.
since
You're
we're-
left with the dirty ice, and then you pour then you order another beer, and you pour that whole beer over the bloody ice, and you drink
But see,
it.
along
That's
those
the hair
lines,
of the dog.
though. Along those lines, though, you know, where you go into Bloody Marys that are made with like Clamato juice and things like that.
I don't
like,
care about that. Like, just keep it simple. Again,
Well, but that's what I'm saying is
But-
you're talking about wanting something to evolve.
no.
and then when It does.
It's not evolving. Here's the traditional way. It's
Okay, so there's the traditional way. but then
sipping in the
there's-
beer, and then.
So maybe
but-
I don't want the old-fashioned
Okay,
way.
don't have it the old-fashioned way, jerk face.
I'll have it the new-fashioned.
Oh my God. But hold on to your dirty ice glass. I mean, we do this all the time with bourbon or other drinks. Why shouldn't we do it with Bloody Marys? You know, that dirty ice, like in a dirty martini. Like, I don't want to get rid of that. I want you to make.
Or dirty ice. What's that?
It still has the components of the liquor on
Okay.
them. They're already eating away at the ice. There's still flavor to them, especially with like mixers and things like that, or like a Bloody Mary
So, like,
where there's already other additives.
Absolutely. So the favorite,
still flavor
the
it.
best part of the Bloody Mary is like you leave that dirty ice and you have the flavor of the Bloody Mary spices. You want to hang onto that glass and just pour beer over top of it till you get rid of all those spices. Like that's why you want to order that kickback and keep pouring that beer in there and just finish it off. Like it's not just I want the Bloody Mary.
Or whenever you have to tell yourself to be able to have like 7 beers at 7 in the
Yeah,
morning,
it's the hair.
you know?
That's the hair of the dog.
Yeah, the hair of the dog is like you're ripped by 12.
It's not-
Well, I was
stop.
cleaning the ice. It's totally
But
fine.
you want a Pilsner. You want like a Miller. You don't want like a Guinness poured in here, Bloody Mary. Like you want like that.
A Guinness is a breakfast
You want
of
an
its own.
American beer. Like you want that
All right.
Pilsner.
Let's let me throw a little swerve here for you. When it comes to shots,
Ugh.
educate me on not educate me. What are the go-to shots now? Let me just
Green
here's
tea.
I'm so tired of
tea.
Jaeger bombs,
Green
Vegas
tea.
bombs.
Green
This
tea.
is
I love my green tea shot.
I know.
Leave it alone.
That's a
Leave it
go-to.
alone.
yeah. My
That's a
daughter
go-to.
turned me on to the green tea shot.
Green tea is it's an
It's
up
my
and coming
favorite.
thing.
It's
And
my
then,
favorite.
What's this obsession with pickle juice?
Okay, so pickle juice
pickle
is
juice.
the best back for alcohol. A
Vinegar.
brine
Yeah.
is vinegar and salt. It actually electrolytes. It builds up your muscles again after you've dehydrated them from drinking too much.
The hair of the dog.
So if you continue while
Many
you're doing
people get
it
pickles
helps
in
a
their Bloody
little bit.
Mary.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're ever hungover, pickle juice, best thing on the planet.
Pickle juice.
Oh, that's for a hangover, though. But
with shots of tequila, it kills the taste. I mean,
It
pickle
totally
juice
kills the
over-
taste. You're tasting pickles.
Especially if
And
you're
then you don't
drinking,
feel like crap
shitty
the next
tequila.
day.
so is that what are you drinking pickle juice with?
I've done it with tequila. I've done it with mezcal. I've done it with vodka.
You'd have to do it with mezcal. I think
I've
mezcal.
done it with. There was actually a beer cocktail that I had.
Really?
That, you do a shot of.
What beer would you drink pickle juice with?
So it was this like weird craft beer. It was sour, and
yeah,
the
of
pickle
course.
juice was supposed
like,
to bring
stop
out
with
the
the
like,
weird craft crap. Just stop.
I know.
I'm the guy that takes the pickles off the burger.
Oh,
and the
I
sandwiches
love them.
out.
Give me
all
And
your
so, and then when
That's-
someone
it's
handed me one of
healthiest
those,
food- it's like healthiest
Oh,
snack foods
give me all your
ever.
pickles, Kevin.
right, they're yours.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit of a fixation with the pickle thing now.
Well, it's reinvention of like old traditional things.
Okay.
All right.
So you constantly had the salt, the lime, whatever. With
Everything
tequila.
comes back
So now
around.
there's a pickle shot. You can do a half a shot of pickle juice after a shot of tequila, and it actually does the same thing that both the salt and the lime would do. That's why I was saying like the
okay.
reinvention of something. I don't do the salt and the lime. I do a salted lime. You pour salt over a lime, do a shot of tequila.
Okay, you're
and
so
then,
bougie.
That's not bougie. It takes a second. It takes like a quick second, and it covers both bases.
Can
I
you
also,
just-
as a bartender, don't have to hand you a bunch of shit.
I agree. Can you educate people on that?
Well, I mean,
Please
there's
pour
nothing
salt on your
educated.
lime before you do your tequila
No,
shots.
you don't
Thank
have
you.
to. There's no.
Hashtag thank you. Hashtag this is from James.
Yeah, exactly. There you go.
appropriate
there's so
way to
many
do
things.
tequila.
Another thing that I'm a big fan of is
We're staying with shots. Is this a shot? No,
yes.
shot. Okay, go.
So a shot of tequila,
Yeah.
splash of Mexican hot sauce in it,
Ew.
and then shoot it.
Really?
It kills it. It's the best thing.
Let's try it right now.
Valentina. All right, order 3. If they have Valentina, I'll be more than happy to do it.
I bet you would. I'm not doing mezcal. But
Whatever.
I have to admit, I'm pretty novice when it comes to alcohol. I know my select, so
what's your go-to tequila?
I mean, my go-to is Patron. I mean, right?
The
Basic.
White people.
Yeah.
You're so hashtag basic right now.
Okay. Well, I'm saying I am basic. You know.
No, that's fine. There's nothing.
But I'm not a big.
Tequila's also not one of those things that you're everyday drinking, and if you
That's
are,
true.
then you have a problem.
Maybe.
Like with a lot of things.
Is it, what was it? Is it Patron that is kind of?
There was a social stigma behind it for a while.
Yeah. Patron is like a very popular tequila here, but like in Mexico though, it's like
That's not a thing.
It's like the
not-
Weller.
it's like the well, right?
No, it doesn't
But then
exist.
the kind of the opposite?
There's so
that,
much
like,
better
So
tequila
Luna
than that, but
Azul
most
is
people only
starting
know Patron.
Luna Azul is starting to kind of get
Yeah.
some attention.
What's that called?
Luna Azul.
Okay.
Actually, there are quite a few bars here in Louisville that have it, and it's actually I think it's 100% agave.
Yeah.
Tequila.
Agave is like the new thing.
And it's a huge thing down there, but it's like a given.
There
like
she
we
is.
take.
What was you wanting to? What was it you wanted to order?
Do you have Valentina hot sauce here by any chance? No. Damn it.
This is not that kind of bar.
I was telling them that a shot of tequila with a splash of hot sauce in it is delicious.
We have Tabasco.
That's not hot sauce.
No, we don't want a sriracha tequila.
Ooh, no,
What?
sriracha. I'll do a shot of sake with sriracha.
Either Frank's or
I mean,
Tabasco.
I'm adventurous.
Just pull up a chair, Heather, and talk to
Come on,
us.
Heather.
She's
Come on,
getting
Heather.
ice. She's very busy.
Oh,
Okay,
is-
so
oh,
we
is that
need
really?
we need 3 shots of tequila with
I didn't-
Frank's hot sauce in it.
Gross.
3
Frank's
shots.
is
You want
dis-
Frank's or you want Tabasco? That's what the choice is here. Don't say gross. That's what you got.
I'll do Frank's if I have
Exactly.
choice.
That's why I just said Frank's. Okay, so am I your spirit animal or not? Do I know you
No,
or what?
I'm your spirit
No,
animal. You're
I'm-
not mine.
Yes, both.
You're
So
missing out, baby.
we need 3 tequila shots with Frank's in it. We're gonna
Silver.
we're gonna
Silver. Definitely silver.
We're gonna school Kevin. We want to
doesn't- it's
straight up,
you're
straight
gonna-
up, straight up,
I'm at their mercy.
straight up with a dab of Frank's in it. But you know what? Like I do want to talk about some trends because tequila is a trend, but I think gin is a trend, and I also think
Gin and tonic's one of my go-to.
gin and tonics is one of my go-to. But you're not the gin trend is still
Is there
going to
any way to
be.
use a bathroom break?
Go for it.
All right.
We'll keep
Okay.
talking.
Sure, we'll-
She'll
I'm sure.
talk.
I'll talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see that.
Is the PBR going through you, buddy?
It totally is. But I think, bubbly cocktails, champagne, sparkling wine, like that's a huge trend. Like right now in Europe last summer, everyone was drinking Aperol spritzes by the pool. And I think that's not something that's going to die. I think what you're going to see is the Aperol Frosé, which is going to be a combination of frozen rosé and Aperol spritz. And I think, we have the champagne bar in Louisville. I think that's going to continue to grow. Like bubbly drinks are going to be continuing to be on the incline.
Speaking of that, there is it's called, what's the drink? It's in a pink can. It's called Bubbles.
Bubbles, yeah.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I have to admit, I've
You like
started
it?
sipping on that. That's
So
one
that's
of my.
like a
my
rosé.
dogs. Yeah.
So when people say rosé all day, hashtag rosé all day, like you're
I-
totally into that. And I don't see that going anywhere. I think people see see champagne and sparkling wine as just for special occasions or New Year's Eve, and I think that that's kind of going away, and it's increased in popularity. And the champagne and sparkling drink cocktails, you know, such as the Aperol Spritz, are just refreshing, and it's going to continue to be not just on a brunch menu or a summer menu. Like, it's going to continue to keep showing its face, you know, like the bubbles drink.
Right. Typically, when I get to the bar, music and stuff, I'm a beer guy. But then, you know, there's nights that I don't want to do beer, so, you know.
That's true. But I think... You know,
All right, now I actually have a question.
what?
So, do we want to keep going like history things, or do we want to get
Keep
to
in
the fun
mind,
stuff?
we've got roughly 10 to 12 minutes.
Do you want to get to the fun stuff now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So,
So we want to talk about
funny, weird stories.
patron experiences.
Yeah, give us a...
Do you want to go first?
You go first.
God, there's so many. I think one of the most interesting was when I was a bartender at a corporation of concept that still exists but isn't as prevalent as it was back in that point. I had a guy come in, start drinking at the bar. I'm across the bar from him. He's super nervous. He's being set up on a blind date.
Oh, God.
They both swipe right.
This was before Tinder even existed.
Kevin, you love
The
Swipe
ol-
Right on your show. Just stop. We're all setting
The only
lines, okay?
apps that existed, there actually smartphones were barely a thing.
Oh my God. Bye.
So
They were writing letters to each other.
no, it was actually a
Will you
blind.
go with me? Check.
Check
No, it
yes
was
or no.
it was like a
Posted,
well,
right?
they were in a bar, so I mean, hopefully there's no check right. Actually, I feel like maybe
You
we
can
should
write it on a bar
reinstate
now.
that as a
Yes!
thing. Let's have
Let's
a speed
write it on
dating
a-
event. Like
Yes! And you-
check yes, check
You
right.
write it on the bar napkin,
Maybe.
like
There you
pass
go.
your bar napkin,
Yeah.
right? Pass your bar
Why
napkin.
not?
No, I like that. I love this concept.
idea.
You know
Yes.
what? It would take them off their phone.
Yes, you have to. Well, first you have to turn your phone in at the door, and then it's like pass your check right to the check yes to
Yeah,
the right, check
yeah.
no
Yeah.
to the left. Like
Okay.
I think it should be on a
We're
bar
gonna need to
napkin.
have quite a
Okay,
few
we're on to something
downstairs.
here.
Yeah, I
Okay.
like it. I like this
I
concept.
love this idea.
So, but anyways,
Old
so
school
I'm across
meets new school.
across from the bar from this guy. He got set up on a blind date by a friend. It was his friend's girlfriend, whose friend it was that he was meeting.
That's a lot of friends. I can't
Yeah.
keep up with that right now.
His buddy's girlfriend set him
This
up
guy's-
with her friend.
I can't.
Anyways, so he's waiting.
Some friends
he
met at
decided
a
to
bar.
show up early to have a couple drinks before she got there to calm his nerves. He's really funny. He's a nice guy, good-looking guy, joking around, like whatever.
But was he
She
really?
shows up. Yes, he actually was. She shows up. She was without a doubt. There's no other way to say she was a bitch.
She was a
like
troll?
straight up from the
A
moment.
troll?
No, she was adorable
But a
and
troll
beautiful, but she
on
was
the
a
inside.
bitch. Like from the moment she walked in the door,
Wow.
she was a bitch.
Give me an example.
We're saying the B word on this
That's
radio
fine.
podcast.
You can say,
I don't
you
think
can say
bitch is
all
a-
the FCC don't know words on this podcast.
I mean,
But what made you? What?
do you know what the stank face is?
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
All right,
Let me
so she
see
walked
it.
in with the.
Can you show the camera? That face. And I'm
She
always
walked in with the
and I'm
stank
always
face.
like, cut the mask at me one more time, James.
So then when she. When they're because at the point that
You.
All right, we're doing-
Okay, wait,
what
okay,
you're in
wait.
store
We have to do
for?
this shot. Okay.
so
wait.
all right so
Ugh.
tequila and hot sauce.
This is tequila and hot
Where's
sauce.
yours?
Yeah,
How
you
dare
have,
you.
You have to do one too, Heather. Oh yeah.
We'll see her later. Tequila
Cheers.
and hot
Okay,
sauce.
here's
right?
to me, here's to you. The best of friends will ever be. If we should ever disagree, fuck you, and here's to me.
And fuck you too.
No, and fuck you.
Tell me that's not delicious.
Ooh. That is. I've never had anything like that.
Thank you.
And it-
Thank
I
you.
would
You're
do it
welcome.
again.
I recommended the Frank hot sauce. You're welcome.
I would
Yeah.
do that again. Actually, that's very
Yeah,
tasty.
because all you taste is the hot sauce.
Right.
At this
That's
point,
it,
you don't
right?
taste any
It's
tequila.
burning?
It
Little
coats
bit.
your throat
Yeah.
between the burning. Yeah, it's
With
perfect.
the cold, it's
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't even need
You
the
need a
lime
hot
and salt.
toddy, by the way. We were talking
You
about
totally
bourbon.
need a hot toddy. We're talking about
Like
classic
7
drinks.
of them.
Yeah, but what's nice about
I
that
need to
is
go to your old bar.
for sure. But what's nice about this is like you don't need the lime and the salt, and that's what a lot of
Right.
people
There
don't
you go.
realize. You don't need all this extra crap.
No,
Just-
it's
Well,
that.
and yeah.
No.
You
Okay.
don't-
All right, so back
Keep
to
it
the
simple.
All right, so back to the story because I got to
Go
finish
back
this.
to your story.
To,
All right.
to the stank face bitch.
So she walks in being a stank face. She was rude from the moment that she met him. She gave this kind of thing, like, "Oh,
Show the
nice to
camera.
meet you. Oh, nice to meet you," like that kind of thing. So we had two-person booths at this restaurant. They walk over to a two-person booth. They sit down. They have dinner. At some point, me being the bartender, I walked around and, you know, hey, how are we doing? Like, can I offer you guys a couple shots, like, on the house? Like, because it's a first date. I want them to, like,
Have a good time.
Oh, that's
yeah,
cool.
loosen up. A lot of bartenders will do that,
Yeah.
especially if you build a rapport with the person.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
Well-
you're trying to create an environment.
Sure, and a lot of people
Especially-
bring their first dates there all the time, or like you can feel it out. And you like,
Well, this was a restaurant, but
you
I
know
just
what?
happened to work at the bar.
I could look at you and say, "Oh, they're on their first date. This is their third date."
Well-
Like I can call it.
Well, and I
you
also,
can call it too.
I've been on a first date.
Sure,
and
you can call
I
it.
just, from working in the restaurant industry, I have the luxury of like, I can talk to anybody.
I would
So
need
even
a
if
drink,
you're
too.
crazy or weird or
Yeah.
gross,
I would
I'll
need a
find
drink, too.
You want to talk about like, I don't know, knitting your cat hair? Yeah, I can do
You
that.
said cat hair, really? Bye.
Knitting your cat.
Knitting your
I mean,
cat hair.
I
That
watched
should be
my
its own
strange
visual.
I watched My Strange Addiction too much.
That should be
Oh,
its
I was
own
gonna say,
that's the thing.
podcast,
Get
Kevin.
off the TLC or whatever.
I
that
know,
shit
I know.
is.
It
Thank
is
you.
TLC.
You need to get off the Hallmark Channel. KnittingyourOwnCatHair.com.
I feel like that's already probably
Bye.
that domain's taken.
I'm scared.
All right, so let's
All
go.
right,
yeah.
so I, offer, and she is literally ignoring this guy. He's sitting there eating.
She
They're
hates
both
it.
eating.
He looks at me with these like pleading eyes, like, "Oh my god,
Please help me.
She is just kind of like silent, like she doesn't even acknowledge. That
She's
I'm
like, I
there.
can't wait to get this free meal out of the way and go
I
home.
don't. That's horrific.
That is horrific,
That's
but you
horrific.
know that was the face she was making when he was
No,
like,
it
"Please."
wasn't. It was more just like.
So was she not attracted to him?
Obviously.
I
is that how you-
guess.
Obviously, if she's
No.
like
Guess.
bored at this date and he's like, please save me.
I guess. Okay.
Obviously.
All right.
So I
We call
go
it
back
Tinder
around
Pizza.
the bar. I made.
So you got Tinder Pizza going, and your girlfriend came over the next day and finished the Tinder Pizza with you.
I made drinks. I made her a fake drink. There was no alcohol in it
Oh my
whatsoever.
God,
But it was
you're-
pretty.
Savage.
Is that
Well, she didn't need the alcohol.
is
So
that
you made her a mocktail.
so is that what
Well,
she
no,
asked
there
for?
was- there-
You made her a mocktail or a low ABV?
No, because I offered them like shots, like or like, can I get
You
you all
made her a
drink?
low ABV.
I made her that.
I see what you're saying.
I don't want to say the name of the drink because it will throw out where
Absolutely.
I was
So
working at
don't say the
time.
name of the drink, but I'm just
But
saying.
it was a pretty drink with very, very low alcohol in it.
Okay, so it was a
There
low
wasn't much.
ABV.
There wasn't much, but it was
Cocktail,
pretty.
which is
so
a
I bring
trend.
that, and then I bring him a very strong drink.
Absolutely.
So
To help
go
him
back to
along.
my bar, forget all about it. Like 45 minutes goes by. I'm still sitting at the bar. I see them leave. He leaves, walks her to the car. She leaves. He comes back into the bar, sits and starts drinking with me. And at that point, like I'm close to closing, so I'm doing shots with him and we're joking
Oh my
around.
God.
I end up taking him home. And that was
Taking him to his home?
no.
Correct.
mine.
Whoa.
That's
Hold
what
on,
I
wait,
thought.
wait. Taking him home to his house or like taking him home to your house?
That sounds
house.
yeah.
Hold on, wait. He was on a date with a girl?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Well, that was so.
You know,
that was so.
bisexuality exists.
Yeah,
does?
that was
Yeah.
so.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
you liked one or the other.
No, I know. It's like way out of left field, but it was way out of left field because I woke up the next day like, wait,
Did this just happen to me?
What?
Yeah.
what?
So he had the Tinder Pizza. Right?
He had the Tinder Pizza, is what you're saying. But he had the Tinder drinks.
So
He didn't have the Tinder Pizza. He had the because Tinder Pizza is like you have half the pizza with your date, your Tinder date,
part
and
of
then
the
the
reason
next day you have Tinder Pizza with your girlfriends because
Well-
you're like, let me tell you about last night, and you're eating the Tinder
I see.
Pizza.
Part of the reason I
leftovers.
bring this up is the simple fact that like the limelight is a big deal. As a bartender, you immediately become a person of interest.
Well, you're an aphrodisiac.
yeah, you're that like unobtainable thing, and people see you as. That's why bartenders get this like attitude, like, oh, I'm a god, like.
What is it?
It does eat
the
up
world's
your
greatest
ego.
aphrodisiacs: oysters, chocolate, pheromones, and bartenders. Yeah. I mean, like you do, like people do. They're like, oh, this is this unattainable thing that I have to have.
I'm starting to get turned on a little bit.
You might, but you
Another
know,
shot. Another shot.
but you know, like when this happens near the bar, like that's when I'm like, James, you have to go handle the situation, and he does. Like that's why I love bartending with James because I can be like, look, I can just give him the face, and he's like, okay, and he goes down there and handles the situation.
Well, because you know that actually is a very like pointed topic because men don't understand the concept. Straight men, not gay men. Gay men get it. Like, their whole lives
For
consist
sure,
of
and that's
bars.
why I'm like, oh, girl, you get it. Guys don't get it, but like
Straight men don't understand that just because a girl is serving them or waiting on them and they're being nice to them because it's their job.
We're not
But
hitting on
also with the hopes that they would tip them appropriately for their service. That, you know, like I don't know if you've ever followed like the Angry Bartender or the Bitchy Waiter or any of those kind of things.
I love the Angry Bartender.
They're really, really funny.
They are funny memes, but it's true. But I'll have James, like, when we bartend together, like, there was a guy that's like, oh my God, I love you. I want you to have my babies. I want you to marry me. And he had, like,
And
neck
all she
tattoos
did
and
was literally lean over the bar and show, like,
what can I have you to do?
Something.
not even cleavage.
Not even this. I think I was wearing this shirt, actually.
The impression that a boob may be there.
And I was just like, what can I
Like,
get you to
that's
drink?
it.
And it was like, I think I might love you.
Yeah.
I think you might be the love of my life.
Which,
and I was like,
and you know, like, we've all been there at some point or another.
and I just looked at James
No,
and I said, and
I have to bet.
all I had to do was look at James and
Yeah.
say,
We've all had infatuations,
Yeah,
is what I'm
okay,
saying.
fair enough.
But we've never, but
acted upon them.
you as not a, because
But
you don't seem
alcohol
creepy
makes
to
you
me.
act upon them. Alcohol makes you act
Yeah,
upon them
but
because
I've
your
also
inhibitions
been
are lower.
super drunk and never been like, oh my God, I have my babies.
Well, but I
Like,
think there's a different people that are affected by alcohol in different ways. But
Well,
all I have to
that
do
guy
is
was definitely on pills
all I have
as
to do
well.
is look at James and be like, James, you're gonna handle it the rest of the night, and he'll go down there and handle it. Like, that's what I love about bartending with James. Like, when you actually have a co-bartender that like gets it and knows you. Like, I know for 2 seconds he can go handle them. He'll serve their drinks. I'll go down to the other end of the bar and serve their drinks. Like,
I've heard horror stories where, you know, a customer, dude or whatever, hangs around to the point where he's waiting
Sure.
for them to come out and all this.
but it's like, I'm not trying to be with you like that. Like,
That's honestly.
but see, when someone drinks like that, their inhibitions are completely lowered, and they think I have a shot with this person, and it's not like that.
Hold on, but there are crazy people
That
in
too.
every realm and every situation.
Sure. And
There's a
alcohol
guy
only
that
makes it
walks
worse.
into a Walmart and a girl is nice to him, and he waits outside the Walmart till
Sure,
she gets off.
but you
So,
know
like,
what? Alcohol
that's-
makes that 10 times worse
It really does.
because you're like, these people really think they actually have a chance with you or me, when it's like, we're just,
And at
we're just
some
doing our
bars they
job.
do.
And in some bars they do, but like we're
Really?
just.
What bars are those?
Quite a few. You know, whereas addiction
Stop.
problems, alcoholism, all of those coexist in the hospitality field. So does promiscuity.
Promiscuity.
Yeah. I was looking at Googling just things and came across a study that I previously read about the hospitality field, about the STD rates
Oh my God.
that spike within the hospitality field.
But let's talk about like.
For different things, but not for like weird things. Like also abortion apparently is.
But you know, let's
slightly
talk.
Good Lord.
But let's talk
within,
about like
hospitality
girls that are on a
workers.
date and they need help. Girls that are on a date and they need
Oh
saving.
no, that's actually okay. So there's actually a thing that's been going on for the last few years. One of the things that bar workers have been working towards is, say for instance, obviously you're not a woman, but if you were ever at a gay bar and you felt uncomfortable by your male
A safe
date-
environment kind
Yes.
of thing. Right?
So
Sure.
you can go to the bar, and there's a couple different ways you can ask. Here in the United States, the big one is asking for an angel shot. There's different levels that you can ask for,
Yeah.
but you walk to the bartender, you literally say, I'll have an angel shot. From the moment that you say that, angel shot doesn't exist. That's not
Okay.
a thing. It
That's
may,
not a thing
Which
at all.
is
because
code
everything's a shot.
for.
It literally
Help.
means I feel
It is help?
uncomfortable.
Okay.
I feel uncomfortable.
Help
I
me.
either
I didn't know that.
And there are different levels that mean like I either need to leave, I either
Need a
you-
cab or
I
Uber.
need you to protect me. I need the police call.
It's a flag. You've been.
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely, but like I think angel shot is just let's start at the basic. Like I'm asking a bartender for an angel shot. She knows that he or she knows that doesn't exist. Like okay, I'm gonna look out for you. Like from this moment on. So that might be like pulling you away and say, hey, your credit card declined, but like what do you really need? You know, if you're
and that's one of the things that I don't think that people realize how far people in the service industry are willing to go
Yes.
to help. Because
They are
like,
helpers.
one thing here in this city that was a big deal that's gone now is City Scoot. I was so sad to see them
What's
go.
that?
City Scoop.
So City Scoot actually was if you were intoxicated at a bar, and a lot of bars around here offered you like free rides for it. If you
Yeah.
were intoxicated at a bar and you had your car, City Scoot, some guy would roll up on his little scooter
And drive you home in
motorized.
your car.
He'd fold it up, stick it in your trunk, drive you home in your car to your house, leave in his little motorized scooter. And it was a big deal for a long time. I
don't remember hearing about this.
Oh my God, it was like huge for like the past 10 years. But like, what was great about it?
For 10 years, it went on.
At least
this last year, they actually decided they couldn't do it anymore because they were operating at such a loss.
Yeah, because
of
Uber and Lyft.
Oh.
But you know what was great about that is
about 5 years, it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Regardless of where I was.
I guess, well, you know what?
But you
that
know what?
kind of
Well,
tells me
Louisville's so
my
small.
level of when I go out. I don't
Get
go
to the point where
excess.
you're super. Yeah.
exactly, and most people don't. But there are the few
But
that
it-
do
but
that
that-
say, you know what, I don't have to worry about getting my car in the morning. I don't want to have to, and your car was at home.
But
And then
that
and then
was
the
one of
scooter
the-
guy would call someone to pick him up with his.
Is there
that
like
was-
a scooter app?
Nope.
Well, no,
it's
that's
gone now.
before apps. And one of the biggest things that people don't realize is there were a handful of bartenders here in the Highlands that were big in making sure that each bar had like 5 City Scoot rides a night that
Sure.
were free, or being able to call City Scoot and being like, hey, I have this person who's so drunk they can't drive, and they're just making sure that the guest is okay.
Absolutely.
They're there to make sure that not only did you have a good time, but you're also not going to die.
But I think that's the point of the bartender is that not only are we a therapist, but we're also like, we want you to have a good time, and we
being the
want to
host
make
of a
sure that
party.
you're okay.
It's literally hosting a party.
Absolutely, but you're
Like,
hosting the party in someone else's house. Sure.
Well, you're hosting. No.
It's not at your home. It's not at your home.
It's not at your home, but it's your house.
It is your house.
It is in your house.
Absolutely,
That is
because-
my house. If I'm behind a bar, that's my house.
Absolutely, because you
And
have
from
to
that
love it,
point,
because you have to love-
when I'm there, this is my house.
I
And
agree
you're
with that
gonna-
100%.
And that's
You
another.
remember what you said about talking?
Yeah.
See, he's
told
doing
you.
that. He's doing that.
No, but he
Kevin.
called it. Though.
I
That's
told
what
you.
But he did because
But
he
that's
will.
my house. When I'm behind
I
a bar,
agree
that
because
is my house.
You are where you work, and that is your home.
Well, and
But-
that's another
but
big
to
thing
that-
within the
to-
industry.
To
If
that
you don't have
extent,
the
like
backing,
you can only protect somebody so far. Like you can make sure they get a cab, or you can make sure they get home. But
Well, and
you
the
can't
laws behind it now
you
are
can't.
so-
Yeah, and you can't make sure that they're going to go to another bar and drink and continue on their party. You can just make sure they get,
Well, and our laws
your
are actually
knowledge.
extremely lax. Even
For sure.
Indiana.
Is it safe to say that in some weird way, bartenders are almost like first responders?
Yes.
I mean,
You're a first responder. You're a
You're
therapist.
a first responder for first responders.
Absolutely.
You have EMS in your bar fucking
Yes.
getting shit faced.
And nurses,
Like-
because and I had this conversation with you because I work in a hospital. Like after working 12 hours and seeing so much loss and seeing so much, even miracles, you need a minute to breathe.
Right.
And so you go to the bar to have a drink.
And there's a very, very high percentage of nurses and doctors who are at
And
happy
EMS.
hour.
Yeah.
And EMS, yeah.
Because you need just a minute to
it's
just
funny because
exhale.
I'm planning a podcast around first responders.
Well, they
You
need
know,
it.
and-
They have
and
to
the-
have a break too.
Well,
I mean, just like bartenders, you know what? That's why we have service industry night, because we have to have a break too.
Well, and you honestly, like within first responders, you have to think about the things that they see.
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that's
But
what I was
then
telling you. Like
with
I see
bartenders,
death.
it's the same way.
But it's a lot of it's your.
It is the same way,
it's
but
probably visual too.
No,
but a lot of
they've
it's here.
proven that serving bartending is actually more stressful on your brain than being a neurosurgeon.
What?
More stressful.
Than a neurosurgeon.
Neurosurgeon. They have 13 years and then 2 years of specialization within their field, and a bartender could have 3 months.
Well,
But,
right now, what's the typical training education to become a bartender?
it just depends.
It depends. Like I
'Cause
went to.
I'm making a note of this.
I went to Louisville
I think
bartending.
It's kind of a cool.
You know, I went to
It's
Louisville
fun.
I went to
Yeah.
Louisville bartending school. and I-
90% of the time it's fun.
Yeah.
The
I-
10%.
Right.
But the 90%
Now-
still trumps the 10%.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
was gonna say the 10% when it's really bad.
Does it
it's
balance?
so bad. They're actually full.
There are days that you're like, I wanna quit this.
There are full-blown cases of PTSD coming from restaurant and bar situations. Like something so traumatic, because you think about, it's such a social environment to where you're inviting these people in and you're encouraging them to drink and have a good time, but then you don't take into fact that like there's 500 people at this bar. Every one of them has their own mental
Absolutely,
state.
and you're
Every
taking
one
that
of them, and
Good point.
and then you add in alcohol, and then
It's 10
just
times
watch
worse.
it all happen.
Yeah.
Like it becomes,
Catastrophic.
it can.
It is catastrophic. It can be catastrophic. But it is, because you know what? You end up becoming a therapist to 20 people, and that's dumped on you, and you have to process that too. That's why Service Industry United is so great, because we need to breathe too.
Now hold that thought. We're wrapping. We got to wrap this up. But what I've come to the conclusion of is that I think in this industry there's obviously some great stories.
Absolutely.
And it's
that could be its own podcast in general.
And
honestly,
and I think we'll talk because I think this is going to be
episode 2.
A recurring kind
for
of
sure.
topic.
I think James and I could come back and
then
totally dominate.
And then what we'll do is I could have you two on, and then we can bring a third person. Just rotate.
Well, Heather needs to come in.
Yeah, rotate a third person to share their story.
Oh, well, and I could tell you that different people could rotate out of here.
Fair,
well, and it's
works for me.
That's actually like a key thing here because the service industry is so big. So
Huge,
like,
huge.
As soon as she said to me like, service industry podcast, yes please.
There's
why
so
is
much,
this not already happening?
Absolutely. Like, I think we could create our own podcast. I mean, there's so many stories and so many things.
As a fan of the music scene, I'm always in a bar watching my friends, but I acknowledge bartenders, and I've come
Absolutely. And I think the number one thing, if you are a fan of music and you do follow these shows around, tip your bartenders, tip your servers.
Absolutely. You got
Actually, no, screw that. Regardless of a bar, regardless of if you're in a place and someone is providing you a service, just act as appropriate as possible.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Be
and tip
polite,
appropriately. And
be
tip
polite,
appropriately.
respond in kind, and be kind. That's it. That's literally
Because
it.
remember, these
There
people
are
are
no other
not.
roles.
These people are not making hourly what you make hourly at your job.
True.
But they're probably making more per hour than you
No,
do. But we're
not necessarily. We've all
Potentially,
had
though.
good days and bad days. But you know what?
Potentially,
I want people to just go in with it, and not that I'm tipping.
Just be kind. There's
Not it's
literally,
cheap wing night. I'm
regardless
tipping
of-
50 cents.
Regardless of
on
being
this.
a bartender or a server or a doctor
Tip
or
15
a
to 20%
DMV
and just be a
agent
normal
or whatever
person.
you want to call it. Just there's no reason to be rude. You don't know
I
what that
agree.
person's going through. You don't know what's going on in that moment. Just be kind. Or try. Even try because everybody knows an asshole.
This was kind of a quick, almost hour or so, but let's do it again. We'll do it again.
for sure. Thanks for having us, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Good stuff.
It was
It's been fun.
All right.
Even though it was a little bit more scientific than I thought it was gonna be.
You think?
I thought we were gonna talk shit. I was waiting.
Well,
for
you know
talk
what?
shit the next episode.
I was just say, we got the non-talk shit out
Well,
of the way.
she had to rip out her notebook.
I know.
Are you mad?
No,
You didn't
I
rip
put
yours? Okay.
because it was my phone. I put it on my phone.
I'm
'cause
so
it's
mad right now, Kevin, because
2019.
I wrote notes
This
on a
is
piece
all
of paper.
This is all being recorded. I'm gonna keep
I
this
wrote
in here.
piece-
Because it was
I wrote-
it's
stop,
2019.
stop,
I
stop.
put it on my phone.
Okay,
but I got yelled at.
But you know what?
But you know what?
I put notes on my phone too. But you put notes on your phone. You didn't even pull them out, and I pulled my notes out. So where were
I don't
you?
think he needed them though, did
He totally did. He didn't even talk about anything on his notes.
I don't think. Did you
That's
have
a whole
chance?
nother. So you know what?
I mean,
I had
Oh,
like a
it's
thing.
a list.
there was no dead space, dead air.
There was no dead air, but he didn't cover anything on his
'Cause
phone.
I'm witty as shit.
But do you know
Totally.
what? I'm witty too. But do you know what? You didn't cover anything on your checklist. So that's
Yeah, we
episode-
did. We talked about.
Nope. We didn't
angel
talk about
shot.
mental
We
health.
talked-
You know what? That's episode 2.
Yeah, we'll talk about mental health when
To
we leave.
be
That's-
continued.
to
We're
be
going to talk about your
the
mental
recurring
health.
podcast
Yes,
with these
honey.
guys. James and Amy came on and killed it. Thanks, guys.
All right.